If you love being scared,
Me.
this could be the night of your life. Fright Night.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about the new release from Sony, Fright Night, and this is the 4K Steelbook Edition. But before we do that, if you guys are into 4K Blu-ray reviews, movie reviews, some tech, and some video game along the way, please consider subscribing because we do all that here. So jumping right in, Fright Night is the 1985 classic directed by Tom Holland. Yes, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. No, not the same guy. Would be cool though, right?
Move this man!
Another recent release from Tom Holland that I just reviewed was Cloak and Dagger. It has almost a similar feel where this is a rated R movie and that's more of a PG for kids. But this is, I guess for seeing topless women and the occasional curse word, I wouldn't put an R rating on that. I don't think this was getting R rating. The topless women probably gives it the R rating. Released in 1985 with a 106-minute runtime. Fright Night is, I want to mention, this is my first time seeing it. I haven't seen it before this, and everyone hyped this up when this got announced on 4K, so I figured I'll do the review on it. Right off the bat, it is basically a boy who cries wolf / vampire / love story. All balled up with some horror elements. The main character is a teenager. They're in high school, and basically a vampire moves in next door. He's really into, I wouldn't say so much horror, but he watches this man, Peter Vincent, on the TV, who is the great vampire hunter / killer. And it's just a character he plays on the TV. But he enjoys to watch this show. Thinks that these new people that moved in next door are vampires. Spoilers, they turn out to be vampires. And so he gets the help from Peter Vincent, and they go back and forth throughout the movie trying to prove that he is a vampire, where the police don't believe him, his mother doesn't believe him, even his friends don't believe him, until finally they get hard proof. And then it's basically, I wouldn't say a one-on-one because he's got Peter Vincent on his side and his girlfriend and his friend Evil Ed, which is probably the most annoying part about the movie. This kid's laugh is horrendous. He later turns into a vampire and gets even more annoying than when he was a human. But he's not a huge part of the movie, although I couldn't stand the scenes that kid was in. It's sort of like The Lost Boys, where the parents, they don't believe them about the vampire, and it's one of those type of stories. But it was a good time. I enjoyed it. Again, this was my first time watching it. I could definitely recommend checking it out. I love movies from the 80s. This is right in the middle of the 80s. This is 1985, so I love seeing all the nostalgic cars and scenery, and just I like to see that kind of stuff, and I'm generally just a fan of 80s movies. And this is a great 80s movie, and a lot of people were very excited about this for a good reason. I definitely think this 4K deserved the hype. A great movie. I enjoyed it. So overall, that's the basic gist of the movie. I'm sure you guys have seen this before, and you really just want to know about the 4K. But I thought it was a decent plot. It worked. It wasn't the best story ever, but it was definitely serviceable. I enjoyed it. I could see why there's a ton of fans of this movie. But we know you guys are here for the 4K review, so let's jump into that. So this is the first time this movie is on 4K, and Sony released this in a steelbook only. I'm sure there'll be a slipcover version down the road, but right now we got this steelbook, and this is actually a really nice steelbook. I like the artwork they did. I believe that's the original theatrical poster. I'm not 100% sure. Again, because I've never seen this movie and I'm not too familiar with it before today. And then on the back you have the neighbor who ended up being the vampire. His name was Jerry Dandridge, which is an interesting name. I thought they would have went something more vampire-y, but that's fine. I guess it works. It's not really important what his name was. Yeah, so that's Sony's steelbook here. And then I like to take that little thing that's on the back and fold it up and keep it on the inside. But this is a 3-disc set. So you have the 4K movie itself, This only has the movie only. There's no bonus features or any of that on there. And then you have a Blu-ray disc with the special features. And then you have a Blu-ray disc, the movie, and some more special features. There's no inside artwork. It's just blue, like a lot of the steelbooks. There's tons of special features on this. So there's enough to keep you busy for a pretty long time. So now let's talk about the 4K disc itself. So I had no reference to any older previous Blu-rays or DVDs of this. I've only watched the 4K and then the Blu-ray that was in the box. I compared to some scenes on the Blu-ray. And the 4K is a pretty noticeable upgrade as far as the Blu-ray that comes in the box. I don't have any of the previous release. And this does have Dolby Vision on it. So that Dolby Vision, we know I'm a big fan of Dolby Vision. And for good reason, because I think the Dolby Vision really made this pop. There's a lot of dark scenes. It's a vampire movie, so there's a lot of dark scenes. It really worked. There was no scenes where I thought anything was too dark. Nothing was too bright. It really made a lot of the colors pop. Specifically, Charlie drives this Mustang, a red Mustang, and it was just a very nice, vivid red that looked good on the screen. And then some of the colors in the makeup later on when they had red eyes, that really popped. So I thought the Dolby Vision and the 4K scan looked fantastic. Sony usually knocks it out of the park with their 4Ks, and this is just another one on the wall for Sony because Sony tends to have some of the best 4Ks out there, and this is no exception. Now let's talk audio, because that's where I would take maybe a point away is in the audio. This does have Dolby Atmos. It's a decent Atmos track. It's no show quality, reference quality, something you show off your home theater with. But it is serviceable. It sounds okay. The issue I was having with the audio was I felt like the front channel, or just the front speakers, were turned up to 11. You know, it was overpowering everything else. I didn't hear too much from my rear speakers. The subwoofer kicked in here and there. There was some scenes and certain characters' voices where I actually had to turn it down on the remote because it was like almost hurting my ears. It's like they had the treble up too high, and it was, I wouldn't say it sounded tinny, but I didn't think it sounded fantastic. And some other scenes were perfectly fine. There was just a handful of scenes where it stood out to me. I was like, oh, this is like they were knocking off garbage cans, breaking glass, like some of those scenes where that kind of thing was happening, like some of the action scenes, or even just some of the characters' voices would just get like very high pitch, and it would just take like a certain tone, and it would kind of bother and I had to lower it a little bit. And I generally almost never have to touch the remote when I'm watching a movie with my audio equipment, my sound system, and I generally keep it around the same level. And the dialogue was fine, with the exception of a couple voices here and there. And it's not even every scene, it's just a couple. And I just thought that was strange. I don't know if that's something they overlooked. Maybe they turned something up a little too high on a certain scene. I'm not entirely sure. But that was the one thing I wanted to point out. It's not terrible. Some people might not even notice it. That was just something that I noticed and stood out to me. But it's not a game changer. It's not a deal breaker. It's still a decent audio track. It is a Dolby Atmos track, but it does not sound like a 2022 Dolby Atmos track. So keep that in mind. So with all that being said, it's a beautiful steelbook. The 3-disc set is nice. It's loaded with special features. The visual quality was fantastic. I'll give the visuals a 5 out of 5. I thought they looked great. The Dolby Vision really lends itself perfectly to this movie. And then the audio, I'm going to go a little bit lower. I'm going to say a 3 out of 5 for the audio, because I don't think it was the best audio I've ever heard. It wasn't the worst. It's not a mono track. It's just a poor Dolby Atmos track, in my opinion, with a couple scenes I would put an asterisk on that I just didn't particularly love. Again, the film itself, I enjoyed the movie. It's a fun movie. It's maybe not a family movie, maybe a young teenager, because there is topless women. But overall, I guess I would give this release a 8 out of 10. because again, I like the movie. The Steelbook is beautiful. Visually, it looked fantastic, and just the audio was really the kind of the setback for me. But again, it wasn't too terrible. It's just maybe your audio equipment will sound completely different than what I have. I have a Sonos Arc with the 5s for the rear and the subwoofer. Take that and do with it as you will. Maybe a higher end system with a receiver will handle it differently than what I have. That's going to about do it here for me today, guys. If you guys like this video, please consider liking it. And remember, if you guys want to pick this up, you could use our Amazon link. That helps us out. We really appreciate it. And until next time, guys, have a great day.